Alrighty. Welcome to the OnePlus 7T, and let me tell you right now, this has become the phone that I'm going to be recommending for the price, and there's a very distinct reason. So let's start by unboxing the phone's media kit, because this is by far the coolest that's ever come into the studio, and this is basically going to contain the phone's retail packaging, as well as a whole bunch of other OnePlus goodies. So for example, there's a screen cleaning cloth, and underneath that a booklet containing all these specs, but also an introduction to some of the new features on the OnePlus 7T. Opening up the right flap in the main box, you've got a OnePlus Never Settled diary. And yeah, I mean, it's a diary, you know full well what that is, but I do like the black and red color scheme going on here. Slightly more relevant to the phone at hand are the three cases we get below that. These are going to be three of the primary cases that you can buy alongside the phone, and I'm here to tell you which one you should go for. We've got the carbon fiber style one, which is very light, very slim, but probably not the one for drop resistance. And then, in classic OnePlus fashion, we've got a sandstone finish. It's still just as light as the last one, but at least this way you'll get a bit of extra grip. Third and finally is a case that I think is a bit of a level up compared to the other two. It's got a rubbery outside, but still feels rigid, and I like the fact that it's got felt on the inside. That's just a touch of class. Plus, it also extends around the front of your phone, so this is the one to go for if you're planning on dropping it. Now, I actually had to double check just to make sure because I couldn't believe it when I first unboxed it, but the box I'm holding right now is the actual retail box of the OnePlus 7T. So right here, I've got the Glacier Blue model, and it's 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. You can probably also tell this is one of the taller smartphone boxes out there. It's partly just to stand out and make an impression, but my hunch is that it's also representing the fact that this is a taller phone. We'll get to that in a minute. We've also got some instruction manuals, and that's all for now. Thanks a lot for— no, I'm kidding. I did like the fact that below that there's OnePlus branded stickers, and I kind of screwed this bit up, but it's nice that there's a message from Pete Lau, the CEO, just welcoming you to the OnePlus community. And to reiterate, this is the retail packaging you'd get if you went into a store and bought the phone. I love how different it is. You get a silicone case, you get a SIM ejector tool, you get a USB-C cable, and at the bottom, the warp charge adapter. More on this in a minute because we've got something a little different going on. And the best part of any unboxing experience. So yeah, this is the OnePlus 7T, and actually below that retail box, there was also a pair of OnePlus Bullets Wireless 2, which was amazing of them, but it's a topic for a different day. So here's the thing, when I think of the OnePlus 7T, I think of a phone that was built for the masses. What I mean by that is that each feature feels carefully selected for, yes, hardcore tech-savvy people, but more importantly, also for the non-tech-savvy people, apart from the lack of the headphone jack. For example, yes, the phone is fast, really fast. It uses the brand new Snapdragon 855 Plus chip combined with 8 gigs of RAM, and so gaming is an absolute breeze. But what's going to be more obvious to everyone, not just the gamers, is the 90Hz refresh rate. This phone's display refreshes 1.5 times faster than most others, and this means it isn't just powerful under the hood, but it feels powerful day to day. And whether or not a non-techie person even knows what's happening with the display, they'll definitely feel that perceived speed bump. I noticed this with the cameras too. In one sense, it's become more complex. Compared to the 7, the 7T adds a 2x telephoto camera and an ultra-wide. That's a serious upgrade. But I think what's just as important here is that they've made it really easy to take balanced, colourful photos. I feel like they were on their way to this with some of their past devices, but having used the 7T for around about a week and a half now, I can say for sure that OnePlus has never done it better. The aperture on the main lens is now even wider at f1.6, and this means you get a little bit more light in. There's a super macro mode to focus on a subject that's only a couple of centimeters away, and something I think is really important, portrait mode has been given a lot of attention. It's better in terms of edge detection, and you can take portrait mode shots with both main and telephoto cameras. Even the night mode is better. I wouldn't call it class leading, but it's comparable. It's at least 80% of what the best phones can do, and whereas a lot of devices don't let you use night mode with their ultra-wide camera, the OnePlus does. The only real camera flaw I've noticed is color shifting between the three lenses, whereas on the iPhone the transition is completely seamless. On the OnePlus you do notice a slight change in the way a scene looks. Regardless, I could imagine anyone coming from an Android or an iPhone that's a couple of years old being very happy with this upgrade, and that's the important thing. The OnePlus 7T isn't targeted as an iPhone 11 Pro killer, it's pitched as the phone to upgrade to if you're on an iPhone 7 or iPhone 8 or past OnePlus, the 5T for example, and from that angle, I think they've nailed it. On a bit of a side note, I'm also running a big iPhone 11 giveaway with everything Apple Pro. That's all in the description. Now, before I made this video, I spent a while talking speaking to people I know who are not tech heads. I was trying to find out what things are important to them in a smartphone, and one thing stood out. Compared to a techie person's response, which would usually be something like wireless charging or display resolution, the common answer here was that it's got to look good and it's got to feel good, and you can tell that this is what OnePlus has prioritized. There's only wired charging here, and this is a 1080p display, not the sharpest on a phone, but I think it looks and feels fantastic. That's actually the first thing I said when I picked it up for the first time about 2 weeks ago in a briefing room. If I had to complain, I'd say I wish there was a little bit more space around the two outer cameras to make the whole unit look even, but I like the color, the phone feels really strong, and they've made the haptic engine better, so typing and tactile elements in the UI, they have a nice response. Plus, there is a subtler change here, which took me a good 2 days to properly notice. The 7T is barely 8mm thick, and when you add to that the side bezels have shrunk, and that the aspect ratio is now taller than ever, I found my thumb could easily reach the other side of the phone, not something I'm used to on a 6.55-inch display. Oh yeah, and the wire charging that is here, they call it Warp Charge 30T, I just call it really fast. It's about 20% better than Warp Charge 30 and prioritizes charging in that first 20 minutes. What I thought was interesting is that this works with all existing Warp Charge 30 adapters. The actual changes happened internally. They've adjusted the structure of the battery itself. You're gonna notice this change the most if you're the kind of person who forgets to charge your phone overnight a lot and you just throw it on charge in the morning. So that display is pretty much everything you'd hope for in an upgrade. The bezels are slimmer, the notch is smaller, and the panel brighter. Plus, it uses a new material that filters out a lot of blue light automatically, which does mean out of the box it's a little yellowy, but you can tweak this to how you like it in the settings. There's an optical in-display fingerprint scanner, which feels pretty similar to the 7, but the face scanning is now so fast and works with such a range that I was struggling to actually record the fingerprint scanner in action. Anytime the phone was even remotely pointed in my direction, the face scanning would pick me up and unlock. We're not talking Secret Service level of security, but it's not going to get unlocked by your friends or anyone who looks similar, and I even tried it with photos of my face and it didn't work. The speakers are about the same as the 7, which is to say a good quality dual audio setup. My one slight gripe would be I like the new gestures you can use to control the phone. They're really fast and they're intuitive when you get used to them, but because you've got a flat display and because the built-in screen protector lifts it above the rest of the body, you might find that your fingers kind of just push against the side of the protector when you're trying to use the gestures. It's not a massive issue. You can either just not use gestures or you can just take the screen protector off. Okay, a couple more things that I think are important here. The phone is based on Oxygen OS 10, running on Android 10. I wouldn't say there are any massive changes here, but there's lots of simple things like refined animations, slightly improved performance, and a better ambient display. The standard OnePlus caveats also apply to this phone. The only way that the company can hit price levels like this, while still not really skimping on any of the primary features, is through a few omissions. There's no micro SD card slot, and there's no wireless charging, as I mentioned earlier. And on that note, the battery life is not amazing, but it's pretty good. Having a display that refreshes this fast combined with an average 3800 mAh capacity means you probably won't get 2 days here like you might on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but it's good enough that I'm not worrying about it. So yeah, to bring this all together, I would say there are so many smart decisions that have gone into deciding what you're going to get here and what you're not going to get here. And ultimately, that's reflected in the fact that they've managed to build a phone with little sacrifice in the things that matter to most consumers, whilst hitting a price that's half of many other flagships out there. I was only given a ballpark price figure for the sake of making a review, but as soon as I get the final price, I'm going to drop it in a pinned comment below. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, do hit that subscribe button, that would be amazing. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I will catch you in the next one.